over the summer. The National Executive Committee is expected to adopt the internationally recognised definition of anti-Semitism at a meeting later today. If it doesn't, one Labour MP told me this morning that there could be resignations.
There's going to be questions for many of us about our future within the Labour Party. The Parliamentary Labour Party votes on a motion on anti-Semitism tomorrow. If there is any doubt about the decision that the NEC takes today, this will go to the annual conference in only a few weeks' time. This issue is not going to be shut down today by the NEC fudging it again. There needs to be a clear acceptance of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. That's the only thing that will be acceptable to the vast majority of those of us been raising concerns about this issue.
There's a lot at stake today for Labour MPs and the Jewish community. Let's head to Westminster. We can speak to the CEO of the Jewish Leadership Council, Simon Johnson. Mr. Johnson, how much is at stake today?
Well, the adoption of the internationally accepted definition of anti-Semitism was just one of 6 things that we asked the Labour Party to accept in April. So if Jeremy Corbyn had been a competent leader, he would have dealt with this issue months ago by adopting this definition. The fact that he hasn't has meant that Labour has spent the summer, rather than challenging the government, which is the job of an opposition, they've actually been having to fight off almost daily stories about anti-Semitism. So this is important, but it will certainly not be the end of the matter, because there were other things that we as a community asked for.
That's one of 6 things you asked for. What happened to the other 5?
Well, those were not taken forward either. I mean, just to pick 2 of them. The first was to deal with outstanding disciplinary cases swiftly, transparently and with confidence. And of course, they've failed to meet the deadline that they even set for themselves for the outstanding cases. The other was for Jeremy Corbyn himself to condemn, in his own words, the vile anti-Semitism levelled against those who raise it. And if you look at the way that vile abuse was levelled against people like Tom Watson or Margaret Hodge or Emily Benn or Rabbi Sachs, of people who've raised anti-Semitism without a word from Jeremy Corbyn of condemnation, I'm afraid that's why there are a number of other issues still to deal with.
Well, Jeremy Corbyn has insisted he's determined to root out anti-Semitism. He insists himself he is not anti-Semitic and will punish anyone in the Labour Party that does express these views. He will be talking about it later on this afternoon, and we hope to hear from him here on Sky News. But you mentioned that disciplinary procedure you asked for, one of 6 things you feel that haven't been addressed by the Labour Party. I wonder, in that light, then, what you make of the re-election of Peter Wilsman to the National Executive Committee, because he is going to play a vital role in disciplining activists and picking candidates. Do you think it's appropriate that he was re-elected?
Well, it was deeply dispiriting. I mean, he was effectively rewarded for his vile rant at the last meeting by being re-elected onto the NEC. So at the very minimum, the chairman of today's meeting should ask Mr. Wilsman to recuse himself from the discussion. It also shows that the Labour Party disciplinary process is political. It's not judicial. Otherwise, why would somebody with those sorts of views be allowed to be sitting in judgment on cases? I mean, the fact is that anti-Semitism is anti-British, and the internationally accepted definition is there to protect the Jewish community. And if the Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn is serious about protecting the Jewish community, then it will adopt that definition this afternoon with no caveats, with no ifs and with no buts.
Away from the political element of this, what has this actually meant in real terms for the Jewish community? Anecdotally, how has this row that's been going on over the summer affected them?
Well, it's led to a draining of confidence amongst the community. And let's put this into context, Sarah Jane, about why we're even discussing this. There are guards outside Jewish schools today on the first day of term and outside our synagogues. That's every day of the year. Now, this definition is intended to protect the Jewish community. That threat that we face because there are people who want to do harm to Jewish people or who want to punish the Jews for their perceived issues that they have with Israel. Now, because the Labour Party has spent the summer nitpicking over this definition of anti-Semitism, they are in danger of showing that they think it's more important to protect the freedom of speech of those who hate Israel than it is to protect the Jews in the Jewish community against the threat that we face that require us to have guards outside our schools and outside our places of worship.
OK, Simon Johnson, CEO of the Jewish Leadership Council, thank you very much for your perspective. That National Executive Committee meeting taking place later on today. We will, of course, bring you developments from that and any reaction we get from the Labour leader as well.